Good morning. It's wonderful to see so many people. And, well, I'm not going to lie to you. This morning I thought, oh my goodness, 8 o'clock, an in-person event. I actually have to put on something other than my yoga pants. My dog was mad at me. I had to find parking out there. But that just, it's so wonderful to have you all in person and to be here to celebrate International Women's Day. What an amazing day. So many accomplishments in this room, in this world. Women are the backbone of everything that we do. And to bring philanthropy together to that mission several years ago, I see Carol Cochran, some of our original founders with Women in Philanthropy, when Tony Frank gave the charge for us to be the best place for women to study and to work. We said, where is philanthropy in that? And our answer to that was that we carved out, working with some volunteers, our initiative of Women in Philanthropy, and engaging and honoring all of you who make substantial decisions to commit to CSU and many other charities and organizations that help the world be strong. So thank you for being here. It was a great effort to launch that 4.5 years ago, and it feels full circle this morning as one of my last events with CSU to be here to thank you for all of your effort with Colorado State University and Women in Philanthropy in particular. So what an absolute joy in the program that we've put together. Thank you to Marla Trumper and Katie DeYoung and Melissa and Caitlin and Kelsey for putting the event together for us today. Really excited about the program and having Amy here. But first I want to take a moment. CSU's role is to educate, and in fulfilling that mission over the last several years, we've really brought together to the forefront acknowledgement of our Indigenous people whose land we stand on, whose land this was before ours. So please turn your attention to the screen.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native nations.
We recognize the Indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
Thank you. I should have introduced myself because there are some new faces out there. My name is Kim Tobin, and I currently serve for, I think, about 23 more days as the Vice President of University Advancement. And I look forward to being continuing as an alumna and staying connected with this group. So thank you for being here. Great privilege and honor to introduce Amy Van Dyken Rouen. She is just a rock star in our alumni ranks. She's so inspiring. She's accomplished so much. I just love her sense of humor. We got a little bit of that this morning already. She is a gold medalist 6 times over, and in 1996 was the most winningest gold medalist, male or female at the time, and went on to win 2 more gold medals because that wasn't enough in 2000. And so she continues to speak all over the world, be an inspiration to young athletes. I already got a selfie this morning with her for my niece, who's a swimmer. So she continues, the swimmers were here this morning, to be such an inspiration and to to speak about her journey as an athlete and suffered an ATV accident, but that did not hold you back, and has gone on to be a CrossFit adaptive athlete and win medals in competitions and in that arena as well. So just such an inspiration. We're really fortunate to have you with us bright and early this morning. Thank you, Amy, for being here. Amy?
Thank you so much. That was awesome. No, keep going. She's got a ways to go. Keep going. I was kidding, but thank you. Hilarious. How are you guys? Good. Can you see me through the plant? We've got like foliage going on over here. I was unexpectedly in the jungle. Okay, I'm going to start this. Otherwise, we'll be here till lunch. Okay, good. So, how are you? Happy International Women's Day, all of you beautiful women out there. Oh, look, now we've got people moving plants. I love this. Thank you so much. Oh, there's a car in the way. No, I'm kidding. My name is Amy, right? And I grew up here in Colorado. I was the firstborn of 4. Yay, oldest. Now, I was born in the era where, like, you know, we sucked on lead paint till it was going out of style. Anybody remember that one? Anybody? I think we were fine. It'll stop. It'll stop. It's just it's a thing. And so we also had front-facing car seats. Do you guys remember this? All these young kids are like, holy danger. Yes, I know we didn't have seat belts. They only like went across the lap. Do you guys remember this? I'm really old. Just realizing this as I'm talking to the swimmers this morning. But one day, Mom and I were in the car driving. I was 18 months old. We're singing along to a song, and then Amy stopped singing. And anybody that has known me for longer than 5 minutes knows that if I stopped talking or anything, like the world has gone off of its axis and we have other problems to worry about. So Mom looked in the rearview mirror, because heaven forbid she would actually be using that to drive. She was looking at her daughter and looked, and she saw her 18-month-old baby turning blue. Rushed me to the emergency room, and after several visits to the hospital, and they said, no, it's bronchitis. Oh, no, it's pneumonia. It's bronchitis, pneumonia. They couldn't figure it out, so someone finally said, we've got a great center in Denver called National Jewish, and they deal with respiratory issues. Why don't you go there and see what it's all about? So I went there, did all the testing, and the doctor came out and said to my parents, you know, we've never actually diagnosed someone with this at this young of an age, but your daughter has asthma, and not just asthma, severe asthma. And not just severe asthma, but all 3 types of asthma. Drink every time I say asthma. No. So you wonder what the 3 types are, right? One is infection-induced, so anytime I catch a cold, I'm probably going to have a hard time breathing, right? Second one, allergy-induced. People go, well, what are you allergic to? Here's how I sum it up. I'm allergic to anything that lives and breathes, anything that ever once lived and breathed, and anything that could spontaneously jump up and start living and breathing, like the stuff underneath your kid's bed. I'm allergic to that. I'm also allergic to chlorine. We'll let that settle in for just a second as I tell you, right? As I tell you the 3rd type, which is exercise-induced asthma. So anytime I work out, I'm probably going to have an asthma attack. So put the kid into a swimming pool. I'm still convinced my mom was trying to kill me at a very young age. We talk about it on Fridays. We're doing okay. We're fine. So growing up, my life after that was pretty normal, right? I mean, I couldn't go over to a friend's house to spend the night because heaven forbid they would have a dog, a cat, a hamster, a goldfish. I would like end up in an emergency room. So our house was the cool house. It kind of had to be. And I didn't know that that was different from everybody until I was 6, right? You go to school all day. You're in 1st grade. You bring your lunch. You get to go on field trips, typically to the Denver Zoo. And then there was like recess, right? But for me, it was either too hot, too cold, too windy, not windy enough, raining too much, not raining enough. You get the point. I was always inside. And one day, there was a snowstorm. So everybody was inside. And I was like, now you guys get to see how I live, right? This is pretty cool. And then it happened. The love of my life, Timmy Harper, came walking towards me, and I thought, oh my God, he's going to propose. And I thought, is it going to be an indoor wedding or an outdoor wedding? Like, we can talk about that later, right? A big dress or a little dress. Now, we're all women. There's some men in here, so we can share the secret, right? You always know that if the ring is really, really big, the dress is really, really small, right? So next time you guys go to a wedding and you see a princess in like a big meringue thing, just look at the husband and go, you really should have done a little better than that. So he gets really close to me, and I'm like so nervous. And he goes, Amy, and I'm like, yes, Timmy Harper. Why say Tim? Timmy Harper is better, right? Yes, Timmy Harper. And he goes, why are you so weird? I was like, well, I don't know. I don't breathe, I guess. And he goes, whatever. We learned in Mrs. Barker's science class you have to breathe to live. So what is your problem? And I'm like, I don't know. It's different. And I went home, and I remember opening the door, walking in my house, closing the door, collapsing, and crying. Because that was the first time that I realized I was different. And this was before I realized that it's cool to be different. So Mom didn't know what to do. She brings me to the doctor. The doctor starts doing all the doctor, and he goes, well, we need to exercise your lungs. And I'm like, wait. So I raised my hand, and he called on me, thank goodness. I learned in first grade, you raise your hand, right? So I did. So he called on me, and I said, well, how am I supposed to exercise my lungs when I can't walk up and down the stairs in my house most days by myself? So he stopped, and he thought, and he said, water sports. We hear water sports are great for asthmatics. Great, doc. Look at the chart. Allergic to chlorine. So that summer, I signed up for swim team, diving team, synchro team. I was ready to rock and roll, and the first day of diving practice was amazing, right? I had my swimsuit on, my sunscreen, my hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and I looked very cute. I got to the edge of the diving board, and at the age of 6, I discovered 2 things about myself that I didn't already know. One is that I am not coordinated. So you want me to take 3 steps, hurdle, jump, twist, and not rip something off? That was probably not going to happen. And now, by the way, do you guys, anybody else here besides me, watch now because they do that like hippy, skippy, jumpy thing? Anybody else want to see if someone rips the top of their foot off? Anybody? Yeah, thank you. At least someone admits it. I mean, we all kind of do it. Anyway, I also sat there and I looked down, and I realized that I am deathly afraid of heights. So I climbed back down, but I wasn't discouraged because the next day I had synchro practice. So there I was. I had my sequins on, my hair was slicked back, my eyelashes were going. I had a great pair of lashes. I should have worn them today, but anyway, did not. And the music started, I put the nose plug on, I jumped in the pool, and again, at the age of 6, I discovered 2 things about myself I didn't already know. One, I cannot point my toe. So water ballet was kind of off the table. I would show you right now, but that would be awkward. And the second thing that I discovered, there's something wrong with my nose, and I had water shooting straight up into my brain. Again, if you've known me for any amount of time, you know, cuckoo, that's what it was. But I wasn't discouraged because the next day was swim practice. And there I was, I showed up, I had my cap on, I had my goggles on, I had my Speedo on. Plug, my Speedo on, and we're done. I had a pull buoy between my legs, fins on, and I looked like an absolute dork. And everybody goes, but swimmers, their bodies are so perfect. And have you ever seen like Caleb Dressel and Ryan Lochte? And I have 2 words for you. Banana hammock. You didn't like that one, did you? Grape smuggler? No, she didn't like that one. I'm just going to move on. It's not cute, right? But I jumped in the pool and I discovered my passion. And I know you guys are like, well, yeah, you won 6 gold medals. Well, we would not be here for very long then, would we? I jumped in the pool, and it took me 6 years until I was 12 to finish 1 length of the pool. I'm not talking an Olympic-sized pool, the 50-meter pool that you see, which, by the way, when you make your reservation in a hotel and they go, we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. No, you don't. No, you don't. It was a 25-yard pool. I was always one of those kids where they would say, take your marks, and people would go down and bend over very gracefully, and I would do this thing and look around to make sure that I was doing everything okay, right? And the gun would go off, and everyone would dive in with very minimal splash. And then there's Amy, wham, boom, belly flop, and everyone would go, ooh, ah, that had to hurt, and it did. I would take a couple strokes, I'd hang on the lane line and start crying and gasping for air, Mom, which is cute until you're 11, and then it loses something. So when I was 12 and I finished my first length of the pool, everyone was clapping, and I was so excited, and I thought that they were clapping for me because they were like, yes, you're the next coming of Janet Evans. No, they were really like, thank goodness, now we can go to lunch. And I got out of the pool, and I went over to my parents, and my dad was there, and I said, hey, Dad, guess what? Next time I swim, I'm going to win. And my dad put down his coffee, and he put his arm around me, and he said, Amy, shh, someone's going to hear you. But when I was 13 years old, I did just that. I won my very first blue ribbon. So I thought that, like, you know, I was on the Olympic path. But first we had to go to high school. I went to Cherry Creek High School. Don't judge. I'm still actually a nice human. And at this time, we had to try out to be on the team, right? So they only took the top 28 swimmers. So I tried out for the team, and I did as well as I could, and I remember they posted on the board, like, who made the team, and I ran over, and I started at number 1, which in my brain made sense, right? Now I go, oh, bless her. So I get down to about 15, and I didn't see my name, and my stomach started to churn. You know, like when you go on a roller coaster or something, it like dropped. And I got to 20, and I could feel just like the vomit in the back of my throat, right? I got to 25, 26, and I thought, how am I going to tell my dad I just failed? And there I was, number 28. I was the last one picked, but I was picked. So we went to practice that day, and we're all there, and here's all these girls that are just like the best swimmers in the history of ever, and I'm like, this is amazing. And the coach goes, everybody get in the water for warm-up. Amy, come with me. And I'm like, whoa, that is so cool. Like, I am so good. She wants me to talk to her before practice. She said, now, Amy, you're not good, so we're not going to put you in any swim meets. But, if you keep coming to practice and you keep getting better, I'll put you on the relay for the last swim meet of the year. Now, the relay had won state since the earth had cooled. I'm convinced my coach may have been on that relay, but I have no proof. So there it was. I did it. I went to practice every day. I kept getting better, and I was on the relay. And I was so nervous. I didn't realize that the swim meet counted for nothing. To me, it was the biggest deal in the world. So I sat there and had a towel over my head, and I kept doing the, okay, don't mess up. And if I don't mess up, then I won't beat my sister up tonight. But my brother's on the table, and tomorrow it's on. And I will eat my broccoli. Okay. And as I did that, the other 3 girls walked in front of me. And to this day, I don't know if they saw me, and I don't know if I want to know if they saw me. But what they said changed the direction of my life forever. Now, this was the 80s. Bear with me. We talk different. Mall bangs. Remember those? Oh, my God. I know, like, Amy Van Dyken's, like, totally on our relay. Like, gag me with a spoon, as if. And then they walked away. Now, for those of you who are younger who may not understand that, it's not good. It was not good. It was not good. And after I was really angry and hurt and sad because these are the girls that I wanted to be. And they just told me that I'm so awful, they don't want to swim with me. I thought, wait a minute. Who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? You don't know what's in my heart. You don't know what's in my soul. You don't know what I'm capable of. Who are you? We won the relay. And by the time I was a junior in high school, I was breaking state records in the things I swam. And by the time I was a senior, I had qualified for the 1992 Olympic trials, having to tell the nieces and nephews that, yes, we did have the Olympics in the 1900s. We took our horse and buggy there. It was awesome. Children. Anyway. So I qualified for the 92 Olympic trials, and I had an opportunity to go to any school that I wanted to go to, right? So now when you go on a recruiting trip, I see some swimmers in the audience. When you go on a recruiting trip, they bring you to places that will entice you to go to the school, right? So my brother has a double PhD, evolutionary biology and mathematics. I've learned to say mathematics, not math. I don't know why, but I've learned. So they brought him to the laboratory, right? My sister, who builds websites, Disney, for companies, Sony, that I'm not allowed to mention, Acura, because if I did, they'd have to pay me, Porsche. Always do that one last, just in case someone's listening and they want to throw a car my way. It's fine. So they brought her to the library, right? They brought me to fraternity row. Hot men with their shirts off, drinking beer before a football game. Thank you. I'm proud to be a CSU Ram. I said. So the first day of swim practice, right? We're stuck. All the people getting ready to go to trials. I was in that group, and it was like with some world record holders, and I was feeling kind of cool. So we get to Olympic trials, and I had qualified for 2 events. The first one I swam was the 100 butterfly. Now, I would like to find the individual that invented the butterfly, and I would like to kick them as hard as I can in the shin. It is a stupid stroke. I'm going to give you an example. okay? The Titanic goes down. There's Rose. Rose is doing a little breaststroke. Maybe she turns over and does a little backstroke. Maybe some freestyle to get to where she's going, maybe even side stroke. And here comes Jack doing the butterfly, showing off for everybody. And we all know how that one ended, right? Right? If you guys didn't see the movie The Titanic, it's really good. And then you'll understand that whole thing. It's a very old movie. Anyway, okay, moving on. So in the 100 butterfly, I qualified and I was 12th, which was pretty good. But I still had my best race to go, the 50 free, the splash and dash, the who is the meanest, the orneriest, the grumpiest, and that was mine. And I wanted a chance to make the Olympic team. So what you have to do is after prelims, qualify a top 8 because you have to win in order to go to the Olympics. And in my little brain, I thought that was possible. So what they do is they march you out to music, right, on a wet pool deck. And remember, we've already gone over it. I'm not graceful. I'm not coordinated. Probably going to fall. Not going to be cute. So I squish all 6 feet of my body into about 4'5", which is about as tall as I am right now. And get in there, and I get back, and I get behind the blocks, and I start doing this thing. And you guys know what this is, right? You've seen athletes all do this. Yeah. Does anybody know what this actually is? I'm here to tell you all the secrets. So you know when you're a kid and you like play hide and seek and you have to tinkle? And you do the potty dance. Well, you can't do the potty dance on worldwide television. So you shake it out. So the next Olympics, you're going to be like, hey, babe, Kayla Dressel might have to tinkle. How do you know this? I just know. I used to say next time you watch a football game, but then I married a football player, and I realized that they just, anyway, we're moving on. We are moving on. So I'm behind the blocks, and then they start announcing everybody from lane 1 to lane 8, and I'm in lane 8, and this is what I heard. In lane 1 is Betty Sue Smith. She has 8 bajillion world records, 9,000 gold medals. She was on the cover of Vogue. Isn't she beautiful? Everyone clapped, and I went, oh, what? Now, by the time I got to the lady next to me, she was so good that at any point during the race she wasn't going fast enough, she could jump up on top of the water and run across it. And in lane 8, oh, really? Okay. She won a blue ribbon when she was 12 years old. Amy Van Dicker. Oh. I don't know why it's so hard. It's like Dick Van Dyke, and it just has an N at the end. But everyone still messes it up. Anyway, okay, moving on. So I got up on the blocks. The gun went off. I hit the wall when I was done, and I didn't know if I should be happy or sad. Happy, I win a best time. At Olympic trials, that's a pretty big deal. Sad, I missed the 1992 Olympic team by 1/100th of a second. I know. So after I warmed down, got the massage, did all the things, I went up to my parents, right? And they tried to console me, and I said, no. Wait, going to Barcelona to swim one length of the pool is kind of a waste of time and money, don't you think? So in 96, I'm going to go and I'm going to swim more than one event. My dad put down his coffee, stood on top of his seat, and at the 92 Olympic trials yelled, did everybody hear that? My daughter's going to the 1996 Olympics in more than one event. He gets back down. I put my arm around him and said, hey, Dad, shh, someone's going to hear you. Well, in 1996, I did just that. I qualified for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 events. So I felt pretty good about it. Couldn't wait to wake up the next morning, run to the bathroom, look in the mirror. You know why? I'm an Olympian. So I'm going to have like long flowing hair, a clear complexion, and the hottest boyfriend you've ever seen. None of that actually happened at all. So I asked a friend of mine, Summer Sanders, who had gone to the Olympics in 92. I said, when did you feel like you were an Olympian? And she said, well, when I went through the gates of the Olympic Village, like it hit me. And I said, awesome. So you guys, we're on the bus. Like we're ready to go. We're 100 yards away from the opening of the Olympic Village, and I'm going to have my moment. And all of a sudden, the bus stops. And you got military members that got on there, right? And they had mirrors, and they had like the wappy hitty thingies and the tasy thingies and all the thingies and the doggy thingies. And I'm sitting there, and I look at the person behind me, and I go, they're ruining my moment. How dare they ruin my moment? And as I did that, we drove through the gates, and I missed my moment. So a few days later, everyone's dressed in some really ugly outfits. And this is before Ralph Lauren got involved in the situation, right? Oh, Michael Phelps, you need a jacket that lights up. Woo! Ours were really bad. Like it was like 2 pieces of felt that we like put together and duct taped it around ourselves. It was awful. So I went down and I asked my friend Janet Evans, who had basically gone to the Olympics since I think they started back in the ancient days. She had gone forever. And I said, Janet, what are you doing? Now, Janet knows that I went to school on an athletic scholarship, not academic. so she knows to speak slower to me. So she said, honey, we're going to opening ceremonies because the Olympics start tomorrow. Awesome, high five, whoop. And I knew I couldn't go. And the reason, if you wonder why a lot of athletes don't go to opening ceremonies, here you go. I was swimming the very first event of the entire Olympic Games the next morning. Well, when you go to opening ceremonies, you're in line and standing on your feet from noon until about 2 or 3 in the next morning. So that was not going to happen. So I went back to the room and I did what all swimmers do. I went to go shave and I turned on the Olympics. Why not watch my friends? And I'm going to tell you, when you have a moment that changes your life forever, do not have a razor blade at your ankle. I hear, oh, we're starting of the, Centennial Olympic Games, and tomorrow Amy Van Dyken takes on the world in the 100-meter freestyle. Huh? And that was my moment. And there was, oh, we're dropping wheelchair parts. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'll just blame Southwest. It'll be okay. Fine, blame them for everything else. So there went my shin. The next day, I went and swam the 100 free, and I didn't know if I should be happy or sad. Happy, I won a best time. Sad, I got 4th. And you wonder, why was I sad about that? Because I'm an American. And we don't send people to the Olympics to get a pat on the back. We send people to the Olympics to come home with hardware. So not only did I just let myself down and my parents down, and my coach down, I just let my entire country down. So I got out of the pool, and I had leg cramps always. And I was upset, I had leg cramps. I'm like, the smart thing to do would be to sit down. Because they tell you in elementary school, don't sit down after you've run and you have leg cramps. So I did. Now NBC's trying to get me up off the deck, because when you watch the games, you'll see there's only the athletes and the officials. Nobody else is milling about. So they're trying to get me off. So they stand me up, and all 6 feet of woman, it was not graceful, it was not coordinated, it was like a big old oak tree. And I bounced like twice. And everybody came running over, right? It was all on the Jumbotron, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I went and I had dinner, and I got my massage. We get a lot of massages when we swim, and I haven't had one since 2000, so I'm a little uptight, so bear with me. And I get to my room, and there are the Olympic coaches. And I'm like, whoa. This is cool, like they're in my room. And the head coach said, Amy, sit down. And I thought, well, it's my room, okay. So I sat down. And the head coach looked at me and he said, Aim, everyone really likes you. Like, you're a little quirky, a little eccentric, very loud, but everyone really likes you. So, but this isn't your Olympics. So you can stay here and cheer for your teammates if you want. But you wouldn't be a swimmer, so we would take your athlete badge. You'd have to get a hotel, get tickets, or we can get you on a flight home to Denver, and you could be there tomorrow. And those 3 girls from high school just happened to pop up right then. And I thought in my head, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? And I politely said, Coach, I have 4 more events to swim. If I mess up again, let's have a conversation. But until then, I have a race tomorrow, so if you don't mind, I'd like to go to sleep. And if you could leave that brownie that you're eating, because it looks delicious. The next day we went out, and it was a relay. I had to swim exactly the same event that I swam the night before and collapsed. Not only did we get a gold medal and the world record, I went the fastest split that had been swum in the history of ever. So don't tell me to go home. The day after that was the 100 butterfly. So I went out and swam, and after the morning swim, I was seated second. So I went, had my food, got my massage, went back to my room, and guess who's in my room? Yep, the coaches. And I thought, what did I do now? And the head coach said, Amy, we think you can win, and this is how you're going to do it. And then all I heard was like the Peanuts teacher, wah, 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 wah. Because I'm like, aren't you the jerk that told me to go home 2 nights ago, is what I'm thinking in my head. Well, I went out that night, right, swimming. And the one thing that the coach will always tell you is, on your turn, do not look around. So what did I do? I looked around. Turned, I looked, I'm in 4th. I'm like, woo, 1 more spot, and redemption. I can get a bronze. And then the crowd in Atlanta, Georgia was so loud that not only could I hear them underwater, I could feel them underwater. It was a bzzz. So I'm swimming, and I'm like, wow, someone must be swimming really fast. This is awesome. I hope it's Angel. She's a really good teammate. It's probably her last Olympics. She's getting up there in age. Maybe she could win. That would be awesome. And I hit the wall and turned around, and I was like, wow, that's a really good time. What is that one? I don't understand. What does that one mean? And then I hear, the gold medal goes to Amy Van Dyken from the United States. Oh, my God! I'm going to tell you, especially you young swimmers, not only should you practice swimming, right? Practice celebrating. Because I have been signing a Wheaties box since 1996 that looks like this. Wouldn't it have been much cuter if we were like, right? Practice. Thank you. The day after that was another relay. Now, there's two things on a relay that can hurt you, okay? One is that you have a nervous rookie, and the other is that someone has forgotten their swimsuit. Right? I know people think I'm nuts. There are actually 3 people below the deck where all the swimmers are with bags of different swimsuits, different sizes, shapes, colors, all the things, because some people, Caleb Dressel, have forgotten their swimsuit, Michael Phelps, and I would never, ever name names, but that happens. But we all had our swimsuit on. But we had a rookie who was nervous. She was 14 years old. She used to carry a teddy bear around with her. Her name's Amanda Beard. Nobody knows. And she came up to me and she goes, Amy, I haven't done a lot of relays and I don't really know how to do a relay start. I'm like, and we're lined up ready to go out. I'm like, wait, you what, huh? Well, she was swimming breaststroke. I was swimming freestyle because I got out of the butterfly leg. And I said, okay, here's what's going to happen. When you're on the block, I'm going to yell go, and when I yell go, you just go. Like, don't think about what it looks like, smells like, tastes like, anything. Just go. Great. Backstroker's coming in. Amanda's on the block. I look. I go, go! She goed, and then I goed, and then our English goed, and then we won a gold medal. It was great. And this is when I decided I was going to get in the media, because they always interview you, right? So we go down to the interview room, and they're like, Amy, it seems like you and Amanda are like really good friends. I said, no, I was just telling her to go. Huh. Yeah. Do you think you'll continue this friendship after? No, I was just telling her to go. Huh. Have your parents met? And I was telling her to go. Well, after that, I went back to my room and I looked at my stash, right? I've got 3 gold medals, which is like a cute pair of earrings and a nice necklace, right? But I like to layer. Day after that was the 50 free, my baby. I hadn't lost this race since 1994. I went out and swam the morning, and I knew I was going to win at night. I was in the zone. A lot of people go, what is the zone? Here's how I explain it. You feel like you're in a bubble. No one can touch you. No one can talk to you. It's very quiet, which is weird because I blast heavy metal music like as loud as you can go, like someone screaming in my ears, and it was silent. And I knew I was going to win. So that night we went out, and we were in the ready room. And it's a room like this, right? And people are sitting, but they're closer together. And swimmers have big shoulders. And I thought, why am I in this room? Because you have to be there 30 minutes before the race. If you show up 10 seconds late, disqualified. Like, they don't mess around. So I'm in there, and I'm like, why are we sitting here rubbing elbows, shoulders, with this girl that I'm about ready to beat the heart and soul out of for a gold medal? Why are we? So the girl next to me had a world record in the event. She had won an event earlier. I figured she would know, right? I mean, that's a smart thing. So I took my chair and I spun it around. And as I went to sit down, I go, oh, I don't speak Chinese. And I knew she didn't speak English. We've been through this several times. But I didn't want to be like that kid in school where you're like, never mind. So I just sat down, and our knees were about an inch apart. I didn't know what to do. It was very uncomfortable. So for the next half hour, I just sat there and I just stared at her. And then they said, everybody up, jumped up, got in line, right? Marched out there. Again, not graceful, not coordinated. Already fell one time. Don't need it to happen. Getting behind the blocks. They start doing this. And I looked over at my friend from China. And she did something in all the years of swimming she had never done. She looked down. And I knew I won. But I thought, there's a lot of people here that have paid some good money. Let's give them a show. So they started announcing everybody, and as they do, I'm nervous. I mean, let's be honest. It's the Olympic Games, right? I've got something to prove. And I noticed that my mouth got really dry, and I didn't bring a water bottle with me. So I thought, oh, the swimming pool, awesome. So I bent down, and I did that splashy thing that swimmers do. Do you guys know why we do that? Anybody? No, I'm actually asking, like, why do we do that? Because I really don't know. No? Okay. So I got some water and I put it in my mouth and I swished it around. And as I was about ready to swallow said water, I thought to myself, self, how many people from how many different countries with how many different bathing and potty habits have been in the pool over the past 3 weeks? I would like a show of hands as to who would have swallowed that water. Thank you. So I was going to ask my friend from China, Le Jingyi, may I borrow your lane to dispose of my water, but my mouth was full. So I just looked at her and it was just pool water, despite what the media said. I got up on the blocks, the gun went off, and the last thing that went through my mind was, it's yours, go get it. Now, I always took one breath. Why do you need to take a breath? It's 24 seconds. You can hold your breath. I hold my breath through the Eisenhower Tunnel. Not when I'm driving. Let's just start there. I did that one time, and anyway, okay. So, took a breath, and as I took my breath, my friend from China took her breath, and we looked at each other dead in the eye. And the things that I said underwater, I am very thankful it was underwater and I was not a track runner because I would still be in confession for the things that I said. And I gritted my teeth and I hit the wall and I turned around and I won. And I got out of the pool. I had no idea what this meant. Nobody told me. And I saw my coach crying. And I always wanted to make that man cry. It was amazing. You guys know, right? Yeah, you know. And I went over to the mixed zone, which is where they have media on one side, there's a fence, and then the athletes, right? So I'm over there. Ed Green from Channel 9 was there. I was watching Ed this morning. You guys know Ed Green? So Ed was there. Amy, we're going live in 30. Can I get you? I said, Ed, I am done. You can get me all you want to. He said, great. So he did his little thing. How did it feel to break the Olympic record? Well, now my time broke the Olympic record, so I thought that's what he was talking about. I said, well, you know, I've been working on my start, and I blah, 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 blah. And he gives me this weird look. And I thought, did I just drop an F-bomb on live TV? I didn't know, so I just stopped mid-sentence and smiled in the camera, because that'll make it better. He goes, no, Amy, no, you're the first American woman in any sport, summer or winter, to win 4 gold medals and 1 Olympics. And I looked dead in the camera back to my people in Colorado, and you should be so proud, because I looked and I said, shut up! Yeah, that was good. I had to redeem myself after that one, right? So I decided to go back to the 2000 games. And I was training, and there was a really cute boy that I was trying to show off for. Girls, don't do it. And I slopped on some weight because he goes, well, I thought you were strong, but I was just warming up. So we did an overhead squat. You guys know what that is, right? You get the bar up and then you squat. Well, the bar was too heavy because I hadn't warmed up right. I had the bar overhead, and I squatted, and as I stood up, this arm went like this, and my arm went through, and it dropped, and I turned green, and I didn't get the date. It was fine. 18 months later, after surgery and rehab, I was back in the pool, and it was a race, and I threw my arms forward, and I heard a snap, crackle, and pop. I don't eat Rice Krispies. I eat Wheaties. Plug. They don't pay as well, so I think we're done. Okay. 6 months to the day of Olympic trials of the 2000 games, I had surgery that was supposed to end my career. And who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? I left the Olympic Training Center, came back to Colorado State University, swam in Moby Pool, got ready for those Olympics. And I went, and I swam 3 events, and I got 2 more gold medals. And as I stood there for my last gold medal, and I looked out, and I had the medal around my neck, and I had the flowers, and I saw all the photographers, and I saw all the people, and the flags started going up, and they said, will you please rise for the playing of the national anthem of the United States of America? And the flags went up, and the American flag was first, as it should be. And then it was silent. And I thought, wow, how many people are here? Or how many people are at home? Like, singing with us, or maybe just have their hand over their heart, or maybe you're just quiet all day long for something I just did. And it was the coolest feeling ever. But I knew that was it, right? I had swum 8 Olympic races. First race I got 4th, last race I got 4th, I did okay in the middle. I had American records, world records, I was done. And I knew that. And I stood on the deck and I waited until NBC pulled me off. And they asked why I stood there. And I said, because the next time I hear applause, it won't be for me. And I want to soak it in. And I did. Well, after that, what do you do when you're a 27-year-old single woman in Colorado and you're a huge Denver Bronco fan? When you go find one and you marry them, right? Like, they were on the Super Bowl run. It was free tickets. So I married Tom Rouen, number 16 in your program, number 1 in your hearts. Boo. I started doing sideline reporting for NFL on Fox, right? I was one of those people where they go, oh, there's an injury on the field. We're going to go down to Amy. And I go, oh, hey, thanks, guys. So I'm down here on the field, and I really can't see anything. I heard someone got hurt, but these guys are really tall, and no one will talk to me. And so I'm just really kind of standing here, and I have no idea what to say. Back to you guys. That's what we all think. So I did that for a while, and then I was a morning shock jock in Arizona, right? Everybody call for Nirvana tickets, all right, 260-9870. And then I got tired of talking about the Kardashians and their butts, and are they real or are they not real? There's a whole hamstring thing. Well, we can discuss later. So I wanted to get back in sports. So I was on Fox Sports Radio, national. I was living in Los Angeles. I was working with a guy they called Rob the Nasty Boy Dibble. He had won as a pitcher World Series for the Reds back in the day. He was a very angry little man. He's not little at all. But there was a guy who had bunted in a situation where it was kind of not really cool. So he got the ball back, and as the guy was running down the first baseline, my co-host hit him in the back with the ball. And he's afraid of me. We were in 500 markets. I was the only female voice at that time on Fox Sports Radio. The first female I had ever had do anything besides just the news. I gave my opinions on sports, and I ticked a lot of men off. And I actually even told one guy one time, I said, why are you so mad? Are you mad because you're wrong, or are you mad because a woman knows more about the offensive line than you do? And he hung up. So in a lot of those markets, we were top 20 and we were top 10 in a lot of those. But we had to take a vacation, right? So we went back to Arizona and we had a mountain house there, and it was in a golf course community. So you park your car, right? And then the rest of the time you're there, you take like your golf cart or your ATV or your motorcycle or your hoverboard until it catches fire, and then I don't know what you do. And that's what we did. June 6, 2014 was a day like every other day. I had about 1.5 gallons of coffee, took my dog for a walk on the golf course, got yelled at. You're not allowed to walk dogs on this golf course. I said, you're not allowed to play crappy golf on this golf course. Kuma, run, go, go, go. I went and I did some CrossFit. I did my very first and last ring muscle up. Don't do it, not worth it. Ran my very last mile. I met the guy who owned the box. His name was DJ. He happened to be a firefighter, great guy. Went back home, and it was time for dinner. Now, we were going to go to a restaurant that was 1/4 mile away from the house, and I knew that because I was a runner, and I would always warm up with 1/4 mile, and that's where I would go to, and then I would start running. Now, we could have walked, right? But I'm 6 feet tall, and I insist on wearing 5 to 6 inch stiletto heels. You may ask why. Because I can? So my husband was like, let's take the truck. I was like, no. I'm going to take my ATV. Take your motorcycle. I want to feel like the cool air on my face. We've been in LA for so long, I haven't had real air. So we did, and we got to the restaurant. We said hi to everybody. I had trout and steamed broccoli. Now, aside from a healthy meal, why do I tell you that? Because it's the most insignificant thing in the world that I will never forget. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I remember that meal. I remember standing up, and I remember pushing in my chair, and that's where my memory stops. What happened, as we piece it together, my husband normally took off in front of me. Had he done that, I wouldn't be here with you because he wouldn't have found me. But something was wrong with his motorcycle, so he's dilly-dinking with it, and I'm like, all right, I'll meet you, whatever I said. And he said that he looked up, and he was like, what is she doing? He said there was no movement, no noise, not even a flicker of a brake light. I hit a curb and went over a 6-foot cliff. He ran over, looked down, I was face down, and he could see from that far up that my back was broken. So he got down there, and I was not breathing. So he rolled me over, he lifted up my neck, I started convulsing and my eyes went 2 different directions for about 4 minutes. It's not good for a brain injury. First responder got there. His name was DJ. He owned a CrossFit box. He called Flight for Life, and I was in there, and he told my husband, I just want you to be aware she may not know who you are the next time you see her. I was in Flight for Life, and I do remember vaguely waking up, and I saw clouds, and the nurse was behind me, and I remember looking behind me going, am I dead? I'm too young to be dead. Don't let me die. And he was like, geez, shut up. Shoot her with morphine. We got to the trauma center. I was trauma patient C. That's how they do it, A, B, C. They just do numbers because they don't want to know names. My doctor shut down that trauma center and any trauma center he could have been called to. Since then, we had dinner, and I said, why? Because I won gold medals? He said, no, because it was that bad. So, you know, your back is stacked up like this. Now, a lot of people, when they have a spinal cord injury, it'll maybe go like this, or it'll separate like this. Mine went like this. And my spinal cord actually snapped back. So when people ask my injury, I can tell you I'm a T11, but some places I have feeling of like a T8, so it's a little higher, just because that snapped back. And if you take a piece of hair off your head and split it in half, that's how far away this was from my aorta. So had they moved me wrong, had my husband given me chest compressions, I wouldn't be here. And I woke up, and I was coming to, and my doctor said, Amy, I'm going into surgery right now. I don't know if I'm going to get you out. I'm going to have the best cardiothoracic surgeon in there ever. And I thought, is it going to be Dr. Gray? It wasn't. It wasn't even Christina Yang, whatever. He goes, I need you to say goodbye to your husband now because I don't know what's going to happen. So I did. And it was very matter of fact. It was very weird. And I said to him, babe, I love you. And I thought of those Lifetime movies that we all secretly watch. You know, right? Where the husband dies and then you meet your soulmate, but you're like, I don't know if he'd want me, so I didn't want that whole thing to happen. So I said, babe, I love you. I want you to be happy. I want you to date, and I want you to get married. Months later, when I had to rescind that offer, it got a little uncomfortable for some of us. Some of them were great cooks. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Anyway. He got close to me and he said, hey, babe, if it's too much, I understand. You can let go. Now, I couldn't sit up, right, because my back's broken. So I had his hand, and I pulled him to me, and he was really close to my face. And I said, hey, babe, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? We went into the operating room. Now, some of you have been in an operating room, and it's really loud. There's a lot of music, a lot going on, right? This was silent, dead silent. And there was a group of people against a wall that had waders on because it was a very bloody surgery. I had several blood transfusions. Those of you who donate, thank you. Those of you who don't, maybe consider it, and I'm done with that. And they were against the wall, and some of them had igloo coolers. Well, I was on Dilaudid. I'm fantastic on Dilaudid. And I couldn't sit up, right? So I looked my head up, and I go, oh, my God, it's a party, BYOB. And thank goodness I made it out. Can you imagine my husband going to my doctor? What were her last words? He'd be like, that's pretty spot on. Yeah. Well, they were there to get my organs, which was another feeling when you come to. Right? Realizing that someone got the call, and then they got the call 8 hours later that it didn't happen. But then I'm happy to be alive. And I came out of surgery. Again, it was an 8-hour surgery. And I'm going to tell you that it probably has made me a better person. Because I remember distinctly, there was a time when I was coming out of a store, and I held the door open, and a gentleman walked through. He didn't say thank you. He didn't look at me. He didn't head bob. He didn't even flip me off. He just walked through. And in true Amy fashion, I said, you're welcome, Your Royal Highness, and next time I'll roll out the red carpet for you. But for those 8 hours I was in that surgery, my husband was in a ball in a corner rocking. Had he gone anywhere and someone opened the door for him, he would not have had the ability to look at them, to head bob, to say thank you, to flip them off. So now I look at humans and I think we're all going through something. Give everyone a break. So I came out of surgery, and I had my book club there with me. Yes, I was in a book club. I did it for the wine, let's be honest. Book schmuck. And my doctor, I remember he came, and it's ICU, so it's all glass, right? And I remember him looking at his watch, looking at the room, looking at the chart, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I'm looking for someone that just had traumatic spinal surgery. I'm like, oh, that's me, come on in. He was like, oh my gosh, I have never seen anything like this. But from that moment on, I was just excited to be alive. I'm not supposed to be here. The amount of times that I passed away, I shouldn't be here, but I am. And I thought, wow, well, I probably got sent back from there and there, so you got to straighten it up a little bit. Kind of makes you think a little bit, doesn't it? I was happy to be there. And from that moment on, I was going to live life differently because you don't know what's around the corner. Nobody does. It's not given. And so when I was in the wheelchair, I thought, I'm going to do everything that I can do. So I snow ski, I water ski, I rock climb. I am the second fittest seated female athlete on the planet as we speak. Say that 5 times fast and I'll give you $100. And I do everything. I played lacrosse until I got kicked off the team because it's really fun to hit things in these wheelchairs. And like, it's really fun. I even hit my own team when they had the ball, and apparently that's like, you're not supposed to do that. So I got kicked off. But they do have now wheelchair football. I've been asked several times to be on that team. That'll be fun. And the reason that I do it is because I want to live life, right? It doesn't matter if I fail. Before the accident, I was afraid to fail because people would look and go, I thought she was supposed to be a good athlete. And now if I fail, people go, good for you for trying. Amen. God bless you. So I do it all. And there was a time I was in rehab, and they put me in an exoskeleton. And they use these things for the military, right? So I stood up, and it made this noise, right? I do a really bad, but you know what I'm talking about. And I stood up, and the doctors around kind of looked at me. And so, of course, I looked at them and said, I'll be back. And I started walking with this exoskeleton. Now, what I didn't know is that they could turn the power up or down depending upon how much muscle I was using. It's nothing. It wouldn't even move a fly off of my leg, but I was still doing it. So they said they were going to put me in braces. So these braces, because I don't have a core really, it went under my arm. And you know me, I was like, no, it's not pretty, take it off. So they took that part off, and they were really afraid. So now I have KFOs, which go from your hip to your knee to your foot. And I had the walker, and they had like 10 guys around me because I don't have a core, I'm going to fall, right? I grabbed onto that walker, and I stood up, and I looked at my husband, who's 6'4", in the eye for the first time in months. And he said, you know what you have to do? And I said, let's walk. And that day, I took 50 steps by myself. It wasn't just for a gold medal. It wasn't for any of that. It was to get my life back. I ended up being able to walk for 45 minutes by myself before I was unable to do rehab anymore. And it was really cool. And one of the things that I have that's really awesome is nerve pain. So from my belly button all the way down to my tippy toes, like today, it's not really a great day for me. So I feel on a good day like pins and needles, right? In the bottom of my feet, it's like an electric zzz, pff, on the bottom of my feet. And it's very uncomfortable, and it goes from my belly button all the way down. On a bad day, it feels like someone is ripping my skin off. But I am happy to be here. I go to a surgery every 3 months, but I'm alive, and I'm here. And we all have bad days, right? You guys have bad days, right? I know athletic department, you know, everybody out here, right? Your phone is blowing up, and you're getting all the emails and all the phone calls, and like, you know, people are coming in your office, and the boss comes in, and you're like, why are you such a jerk? Unless you are the boss, and then you're like, I'm kind of a jerk. And then you go home, right? And you're stressed out, and you close that door, and your husband or your wife or your significant other's like, thank God you're home. You forgot to take the trash out. The kids have been crying all day. Here you go. Why don't you make some dinner? And you're like, will it just stop? And when that happens, what I want you all to do is I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to picture me standing there next to you and looking at all the crap that is bringing you down. And I want you to look it in the face and say, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? And I want you guys, as the strong, amazing, beautiful, perfect, crazy, obnoxious, lovely, beautiful women that you are. Some of you men. And I want you to rock it out, like I know you can rock it out. And I appreciate you guys coming today. Thank you so much. Mwah. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Aw, thanks. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, thank you guys so much. I went over time a little bit, and I appreciate that, but I know you guys were sitting for a really long time and your underwear just went up your butt, but that's okay. I still appreciate you standing up. I know we're gonna do some questions. I know, which is why I was awkwardly like sitting here. You're like, what does she want me to do? So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I would love to answer them. Any of them, all of them, none of them, whatever we have. No question is crazy. Yeah. Oh, and we have a microphone. This is like the Dr. Phil show. These young kids are like, I don't know who that is.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I want to ask you about your asthma. So you continued to do all of these amazing things. Does it go away? What happened?
Well, I know. I'm glad you asked that. No, I'm still severe asthmatic. I carry this thing with me everywhere. So yeah, I still have asthma. It's gotten better since I've stopped swimming, chlorine thing. And I live in Arizona. We have a saltwater pool just for that reason. But yeah, I still have it. And it still flares up. And it's funny, I'll be like at the gym or something and I'll like suck on my inhaler and I'm like, I know boys, I'm a catch. But it's something I deal with, right? And here's the thing, like I was talking to someone the other day, like we all have our stuff. Everybody has their stuff, right? And everyone has emotions about their stuff. You can just see mine. And that's really the only difference between the stuff. You know, so that's when I realized I need to give people a break. How did that come out of that question? I have no idea, but thank you. Yes, I still have asthma to answer that. Jeez Louise. What's funny is in high school, I actually failed my speech class because I was too shy to speak. Isn't that weird? Now I don't shut up. We have a guy here who I met on an airplane yesterday, and his son goes to CSU. Proud to be, thank you. So see, I don't shut up. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thanks again for being here. You're just a wonderful inspiration. So, do you know, are they going to have any more innovation with this exoskeleton? Because it seems promising. And are you also involved in any other, medical research for, spinal cord rehabilitation or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the exoskeleton, I'm going to be really, truly honest with you. It is fantastic to get people up and walking. But if you ask anybody in a wheelchair what they would like to have back, and it's not really the walking. That's not the big problem for us. The big I'm not going to go into, but I am paralyzed completely and totally from my belly button down. Think about what's below your belly button and what now does not work, right? That's what I would like to have back. There is promising things right now. As a matter of fact, there is a study that is going on, and they have actually, they take belly fat from the person, and they can turn it into this like gel, and then they put it into the spinal cord, and it's actually regenerating. So people are like, why are you so fat now? That's why. Because if it fails one time, we got more. We can go in there, kids. Like, let's keep rocking it out, right? And it's giving everybody all the stuff back, the walking and all the stuff. So it's not really happening in the US yet. We're kind of waiting to see, but it is definitely promising. I even said during my accident, I am paralyzed at a very good time, if you can say that. But we have so much research happening, and we will find a cure in my lifetime, for sure. It's there. And I'll be 6 feet again wearing those stilettos and just, I wear them now too, but like my feet don't hurt. So that's pretty good. Sorry. Thank you.
I'm curious, I work in the student leadership office at CSU, and so we love to hear stories of people's favorite, outside of classroom experiences, so I'm sure maybe some of these one of yours, but what are some of your favorite memories of your time at CSU, like traditions, restaurants, things like that?
Oh my gosh. Well, we have to go to the Pickle Barrel. Like, let's just not even talk about it. I can't even. It's funny, my husband went to CU, and we'll forgive him. Everyone has their problems, like I said. And even he's like, you were in Fort Collins and didn't go to Pickle Barrel? It's crazy. So Pickle Barrel, obviously, right? Favorite memories. This is when we did not have this amazing stadium and we had to go down to Hughes. So I remember after swim practice on Saturday, we would all meet, we would all jump on our bikes, and we would like just boot scoot down there. It was fantastic. The things I remember the most, like the tailgates, are just spectacular. You cannot beat them. And homecoming, CSU does it like nobody else. That bonfire is amazing. Like, it will heat up your house even if you're in Loveland. So I loved all of that stuff. We used to actually do an alumni swim meet, and I don't know if they do it anymore, but it was during homecoming. So they would swimmers would have a practice, and then after that, we would get the alumni together, and we would do silly things like, like a watermelon race, and like, who can go underwater the longest. Like, it wasn't really a swim meet, but it was just fun to do. So I remember those moments as well, getting to meet all the old people that I am now one of, which is awesome. Happens so fast, kids. Relish it. Yeah.
I think I can talk loud enough.
Yes, girl.
With all the research and with your spirit, we expect you to be in the Senior Olympics.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. I would love that. If any of you have not been to the Senior Olympics, like, it is so cool. Do you participate? No. All right, I'll do it if you do it. Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
What was like your favorite food that you would eat before you have a swim?
Oh, girl, we could go on. So I was very superstitious, so I always had to have the same thing. Ready? Golden Graham cereal, a cup of black coffee, and some apple juice. Then I had to go to Subway for lunch. You think I'm kidding? And it was either the turkey, the BLT, or that seafood stuff that, I would get that. Then for dinner, I always had water with it. Then for dinner, I would have chocolate milk, and I would have like pierogies. Do you know what those are? They're like a pasta that has like mashed potatoes inside. They're amazing. So I would have that with some bread. It was amazing, and that's what I would eat all the time when I swam. All the time.
What's your favorite moment from swimming?
Oh my gosh. Okay, my favorite moment from swimming, it was actually on the cover of USA Today back in 1996. And there was a picture, it was a clean pool deck, nobody was there, and there was a girl from Germany that I had swum with for a long time, and she ran up to me and gave me a hug, and it was a picture from up above, and it was just the two of us hugging. And that was my favorite moment, because I think that speaks to what the Olympics are. Like, yes, we're there to compete, but we're also there to like become a fraternity, and once you're an Olympian, you're always an Olympian. You're not ever supposed to say former Olympian. You're supposed to say Olympian, because it is a big, huge family and a big, huge fraternity, and that is what was my favorite memory of all time. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah.
You're so positive.
Thank you.
Through so much. Can you talk a little bit about your self-care? Because I think that's really important for all
Yeah.
young girls and women in the room.
Yep.
It takes a lot.
It takes a lot, yeah. And I'm gonna say, when people go, oh, we all put our pants on the same way. Well, unless you're paralyzed, right? So here's the thing, like I had to relearn how to do everything, how to dress myself, how to drive, how to just be out in public, how to go to a football game. I had to relearn all of it. And not every day is a great day, okay? So I've been traveling a lot. I've been on the road since February 15th. I get to go home tonight. My dog will love me. But my feet from flying are so swollen that it's really hard for me to put my shoes on. And the other day I had a moment where I wanted to take that shoe and throw it through a window, right? So we all have these moments. Here's what I do. I take those moments and I roll them into a ball, and I look at it in a ball, right? So I kind of separate myself from it, and I look at it, and I go, why did this make me so angry, sad, mad, whatever it was? And I talk myself through it. And then I take that ball and I throw it. It's not a real ball, it's a fake ball, but we throw it. But then I know how to deal with it better next time so that it doesn't eat at me, right? And we all have those things, be it that your shoe doesn't fit or whatever it is. But for self-care, one thing that I really, really have to do is I have to shut it off. So what I will do is I will go and I will sit down or lay down or whatever, and I will either listen to music or I will turn on the YouTubes. That the children love the YouTubes. I also watch the TikToks. I used to have the Snappy Chat, but I do not have the Snappy Chat anymore. But that's what I do. I turn it off, and I just allow myself to get out of my head, right? Because it's very interesting being in my position, because I'm told to live in a world that isn't made for me, and I'm told to do it in a way that doesn't make people uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So you have to kind of shut those things off. And I do that. I also go and get a mani-pedi, right? Go get your hair done. I hang out with my friends. One of my favorite things, aside from CrossFit, is going out to coffee with friends afterwards and just chitting and chatting. Because I'll tell you what, there is nothing more powerful than a group of women and the things that we can do, right? So it is really enjoyable to do that. And just remember that, girls. Women run the world. There's a song that says that, isn't it? See, I'm not as old as I think. Yeah.
I'm guessing you have some advice and opinions for us about stress levels in athletes, especially as children, and how coaches and parents and teachers and loved ones can navigate that without adding to it.
Yeah, and that's really hard, right? Because you got these kids that go to practice, if they're swimmers, right? I think almost every sport now. You go to practice before school, you go to school, you got practice after school, you've got homework, you've got to try to do your chores, you've got to try to maintain a social life, like all the things, right? So it's stressful. It really, truly is, right? And so what I would say as a parent is to listen to your children, obviously, but don't push your children. What will also stress them out is asking them, how was your day? Did you have a good day? What did you do at school? What did you eat? And I know every mom does it. I'm not a mom, but I do it to my nieces and nephews. What did you eat at lunch? Who did you play with? Who did you sit with? Who did you like? Who was mean to you? And they're like, oh my gosh, Aunt Amy, shut up. So that's kind of what I say, is just kind of let them come to you with all of this stuff. And eventually it will overpour, but also, allow them to do some things that they love to do every once in a while and just be a kid. We put so much pressure on these kids now, right? You have to have the social media thing. You have to have the likes. You have to swim well. You have to have good grades. So, yeah, just be there as a sounding board, I think.
I think we'll do one more question and then we will wrap it up.
What would you do if you had a really disappointing swim?
Girl, and I did. Oh, girl. Let's chat, shall we? No, you know what? Here's the thing, and it's really interesting because, yeah, you get mad and you get sad and you're like, why did that happen? Like, I thought that I had trained better than that, right? But I learned more from losing than I ever did from winning. If you can actually stop being sad and mad and angry about your swim and just take a look at it, right? And go, well, what was wrong? Was my turn off? Like, do I need to work more on my start? Was my stroke count off? Like, whatever it was. And I would always try to learn from it, and then I would always make my parents take me to Dairy Queen. Right? With that crunch coat on the ice cream. Have you guys tried this thing? I learned about it just recently. It is fabulous. It's like all like the end pieces of like the candy and the peanuts and stuff, and they roll the ice cream in it. Oh, crunch coat. But that's what I would do. So I would have something special, And not that losing is an awesome thing, but you can make it like not the worst thing in the world. Because it's not, right? It's not at all. Life will continue on. You still have to feed the dog or the cat, right? So, yeah, just learn from it. Because we all fail in our own way. But if you can learn from it and take from it and just be a rock star. And again, that's what I think, that's what I think women are the best at doing, right? Is that we're the best at when something goes wrong, we turn it into something good. But just make sure that when you're doing that you are taking care of yourself mentally. It's a lot. We take on a lot. We take on a lot from our significance, from our kids, from our coworkers, from the crazy lady in the wheelchair talking to us. We take on a lot. So just make sure that you give yourself a moment. Crunch coat. And I'll see you at Dairy Queen. You guys, I want to say thank you so much. I am so proud to be a CSU Ram. This school is the best school in the history of ever. I did go to the University of Arizona for 2 years, so I know. My husband went to CU, so I definitely know that we're the best. What's funny is during the Rocky Mountain Showdown, guess where he sits? Right. Thank you. He sits with us. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you. Bye, guys. Be well.